Today I'm going to show you how to make spaghetti with ground turkey. Let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that I'm going to do is cut up the onion, as we say in Spanish. I begin by cutting either end of the onion. These are the ends that don't sit well in the spaghetti sauce. So I cut both ends off, slice the first layer of the onion on the side, and peel it. Now I'm left with only usable onion, and I will go ahead and cut this into pieces that I deem appropriate for the spaghetti sauce to go into the ground turkey. Thin slices like this allow the onion to cook properly. And while I'm doing this, I'll give you some fun facts about onions. Why did the onion go to therapy? Because it had too many emotional layers. What's an onion's favorite exercise? Tear aerobics. As I'm cutting up the onions, I decided to cut them into even smaller pieces. So I slice it horizontally and then vertically, and I'm left with this. The next thing I'm adding to the sauce is pepper, poblano peppers. This gives a nice kick to the sauce, marinara sauce that I'm going to make with it. So I cut it in slices and go with that. The next thing I'm adding is garlic. Garlic adds a nice flavor to the sauce. So cutting this up, but in order to open it up, I simply press down on one of the cloves and peel the skin off the clove, or the husk, not exactly sure what you call that, off of it. This allows for the garlic to be cut into pieces that I deem appropriate for the sauce. Here's another fun fact about garlic. Why don't garlic bulbs ever get lost? Because they always clove together. So I'm taking the garlic clove and I'm taking it through a shredder. This gives it the maximum amount of surface area to release the flavoration into the spaghetti sauce. And so as I do this, you can smell the fresh garlic into the air, and the longer that it is exposed to air, the greater the kick of the garlic. Which reminds me, what is a garlic's favorite movie? What is garlic's favorite movie? The Fast and the Fragrant. So I cut up the garlic and I'm going to let it sit, to let it air, so that it has a nice kick to it. Another vegetable that I'm adding to the garlic, or to the sauce, is a bell pepper. Bell pepper has unique flavoration and it goes well with the other herbs, spices that I have going into the sauce. So I sliced it down in half, removed the seeds, and I'll cut it in appropriate slices that go well with sauce. With this sauce, I chose a yellow bell pepper as opposed to a green, just to change it up slightly. And as I slice it that way, do a cross section to make the pieces smaller. The next thing I'm going to do is cook the ground turkey breast on the stove. This piece of ground turkey was frozen, so I'm using a method to defrost it rapidly and cook it at the same time. I do this by adding it to a pan and then adding a little bit of water to it, allowing the steam to thaw the turkey breast or the ground turkey as it cooks it. As it breaks apart, I separate it even more, allowing it to cook thoroughly. Now, if it weren't frozen, I would just add 2 tablespoons of olive oil to the pan and cook it. But since it's not, I use this method. And when the ground turkey is done, I'll check the temperature and make sure that it reaches 165 degrees Fahrenheit on the internal temperature of the ground turkey breast. Put it to the side and add the chopped onion to the pan. Now, normally I would add a couple of tablespoons of olive oil first, but I was preoccupied with something, so I'm adding the olive oil around the same time and stirring it, allowing the onions to get coated with the olive oil. The olive oil allows the onions to cook without burning as quickly as they would if I were to cook them without oil. Now, as they start to cook, you'll notice that the onions shrink, and that is because onions are made up of more than 85% water. You can see that the onions are shrinking a little bit, and as they cook a little bit, I'll go ahead and add the yellow bell pepper. And the reason why I'm adding the yellow red pepper now is because the onions take a little bit longer to cook. So I'm adding the bell peppers a little bit later so that they finish cooking around the same time as the onion. And as the peppers cook, I'll stir it so that they cook evenly in the pan. Looks like a pepper popped out, only just to get popped back in. Now, as the peppers and onions cook and are almost done, this is when I add the garlic. I'm doing this with the garlic at this point because the garlic cooks relatively fast, and I don't want the garlic to burn because it gives off a taste that many may find bitter or just unpleasant. And when all of the vegetables are cooked, I add the meat, ground turkey breast, back to the pan. And I begin to mix it all together, allowing the flavors to mix in and become unified. And you're probably asking me, what is this that I'm placing on top of it? Well, that happens to be anchovy sauce or anchovy paste. And I also add tomato paste. Tomato paste actually helps thicken up the sauce. And the anchovy paste adds taste of fish to it, and it may sound off, but it actually is good. After I add that, I added some sauce to it, some pasta sauce, ragu sauce to be exact. And this is when I also add the poblano peppers to the pan. Now I add the peppers later on so that, I don't know why I did that. Oh, I did it because I didn't want to cook the peppers or saute the peppers, because that would cause it to irritate my breathing passages. So I put it on there and let it cook. Now I can go on to making the pasta. I brought some water to a boil, add a couple of pinches of salt for flavor, and added the pasta. I used the Secchio whole wheat pasta, and I'm cooking it to al dente. Al dente means to the tooth in Portuguese. And so I just let it boil and boil until the pasta reaches a point of no return, and that is al dente. Al dente. And I'm going to try a piece to see if it reached al dente. If not, I'll allow it to boil a little bit longer. And here's a little bit longer. At this point, I'm becoming restless. Well, actually, I'm becoming hungry. So I'll take the pot, take a strainer, and pour the pasta with the water inside of the strainer, allowing the water to separate from the pasta. Look at that pasta. Absolute. Now I'm going to make a fresh bowl of pasta with ground turkey. The first thing I'm going to do is add the whole wheat pasta to my bowl. Uniformly put inside of the bowl. And after I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and add the sauce, the ragu sauce that I made with the ground turkey. Add some on top. You can see the fresh vegetables, the ground turkey, the onion, the poblano pepper, the yellow bell pepper, and I top it off with Parmesan cheese, to be exact. Just enough for flavor-ation. Now, to sum this all up, only thing that I can really say is absolute.